Welcome to Lincoln University. Welcome to Munich Innovation Events. Welcome to this beautiful state-of-the-art building that we call Waimarie. For those who are here first, welcome. For those that are coming back, welcome back. My name is Wim de Koning, and I will do the health and safety briefing with you. Then I will introduce to you our provost, and he will be the master of ceremony for the rest of the afternoon. Health and safety. Most important public parties. You go out this door, and basically the block that you're looking at, that is the toilet. That is a toilet block. Real emergencies like earthquake, fires, and stuff like that. We've had a discussion who runs the fastest, and apparently it's me. And so if there is an emergency, what I'll do is I'll run that away, because there are two emergency doors in the back, and I will start screaming at you, come to me, when I stand in the middle of the lawn, which is the grassy area back there. My colleagues will make sure that nobody is left behind. So please do not worry. If the danger is there, we go out obviously this way, and again, just follow me. I'll be the one that will run the fastest. I don't expect any drills. So if we hear the alarm, it is the real deal. So please take that seriously. After the session, we will be serving you some finger food and some drinks, including alcohol beverages. And I really want to put in your minds that if you order yourself an alcoholic beverages, please make sure that you know that your home front, your family, your partner wants your home safe. So please drink responsibly. Yeah. I think that is it from the boring part. Now to start with the exciting part, I'd like to introduce Professor Chad Hewitt, the provost of the university.
Thanks, Dave. Good afternoon and welcome to the excellent series. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this forum. This is our opportunity to introduce relatively new professors to the community, both the academic community as well as to the community at large in Lincoln. Through this series, we aim to engage in and contribute to public debate to showcase Lincoln University research and activity, and specifically focus on many of the contemporary issues that face society and the land-based sectors that we serve. I think I'd like to give a warm welcome also to our visitors from China Agricultural University. It's wonderful that you're able to make this event and be with us. This evening, we're going to hear from Professor Pablo Gregorini. Now, I've been given quite a bit of information about Pablo. Fortunately, none of it is the dirt, so I think he'll share that with his talk. Pablo is going to share his research on the creation of ethical and sustainable foodscapes on our productive lands. His primary focus lies in the nutritional and behavioral management of grazing ruminants, emphasizing environmental protection, animal welfare, human health, and production system design. In addition to his research in New Zealand, Pablo is currently working on nutrition, foraging, ecology, and grazing management of both domesticated and wild ruminants in different grasslands and rangelands worldwide. In keeping with a broader view of agricultural systems, he is also working beside internationally recognized agricultural systems thinkers on issues related to the sustainability of agricultural systems around the world, exploring how phytochemistry and culture once linked the palates of humans and herbivores with soil, plants, and landscapes. Pablo's a professor of livestock production and agricultural systems at Lincoln, the director of the Lincoln University Pastoral Livestock Production Lab, and head of the Lincoln University Center of Excellence for Designing future productive landscapes. Among other notable positions, he is chair of the International Scientific Advisory Groups for the International Symposium of Nutrition of Herbivores and a key member of the International Scientific Committee on Farm Systems Design. Pablo has authored over 200 peer-reviewed scientific journal articles and 5 international book chapters, edited 3 special issues in nutritional ecology of foraging and grazing management, and written more than 400 conference papers, abstracts, and tech notes. As a popular speaker, he has presented his work at more than 200 professional research meetings and academic institutions worldwide. Join me in welcoming Pablo for his talk.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for coming. So thank you to our guests, and pleasure to have you all here. And especially there are some of my friends here. So that's what made me nervous. But the people that make me more nervous is the ones that are in that corner, not you, really. But so let's do this. That's a handsome guy. So I'm going to start. And I'm going to quote some friends of mine, other friends of mine as well. So, ko te whenua. Ko te whenua, ko o. I'm the land is me. Pachamama. Hello. Pachamama, unsimaka. Aina. Bumi, Fendry. For you are dust, and you will return to dust. It's the same story, right? So, I'm the land. The land is me. And we talked quite a lot with Hiran a while ago. So look at me. Walk me. Think of me. Sorry, taste me. Got ahead of time. Warm me up. Hopefully the pictures tell you a little bit of the story there, right? Smell me. Think of me. Cure me. Cure me from those eternal monocultures that are developing the high country. Cure me from nitrogen leaching and blue babies. Cure me from ecological disasters, as you can see there. Cure me from obesity. Cure me from cancer. Hello, I'm Pablo. So we are members of nature's community. What we do to them, we do to ourselves. Only by nurturing them can we nurture ourselves. Only by healing them can we heal ourselves. So I'm going to present some of our thinking, right? We are what we eat eats. And this is not the Netflix, right? So I was introduced already, and that picture means quite a lot. We are constantly painting the landscape. We used to paint it with a monotone. Hopefully now we can start painting the landscape with different colors. So our relationship with the foodscapes has changed. Who of you like that picture? Beautiful. 1, 2, a lot of them. What an ugly picture, right? Awful. If you go to Ecology 101 and tell that is a resilient system, you fail. That is not a biodiverse system. That is not a redundant system. Right? So to me, it's an ugly picture. So hopefully I can influence you and make you start thinking as my team and I and some of you. All right? Of course, for me, it's ugly. For some of you, it's beautiful, right? It could be the duck, or it could be the rabbit, or it could be how we feel at that time. It could be that we want to eat the rabbit, right? Or it could be that we are in Eastern and it's a happy little bunny giving Easter eggs, right? So it depends on us as well and where we are, what we think, what we feel about that particular picture that's still, to me, a landscape with only two things, grass and cows, is ugly. So I invited you in this talk to think with me, to reflect, right? Like all the Catholics as I am, you know, the act of constriction reflections, my fault through my most grievous fault. Therefore, I ask you to think with me, to rethink, because only by the acting of reflecting with X of what we have been doing wrong or good, we can then reflect new alternatives to the future. So, yeah, things have changed. We used to hunt, right? We used to celebrate the hunting. We used to share food in communities. And things change in a way that nowadays we feel proud that we recognize a cantaloupe while we are foraging the supermarket aisles with different colors and 5 only plants. Right? Things have changed. Biochemical diversity and monotony has been destroyed for the sake of yield. Right? So biochemical diversity has been destroyed for the sake of yield. Right? Yield as well trumps biochemical diversity and choice. And all of that lead us to that monotonous environment, that ugly picture. Hopefully you get a little bit of my sarcasm, right, to provoke you. That's the whole point, right? But that change of how we see those sort of things have led us, all of us that we are members of that community, to incidental restriction or incidental augmentation. Right? A little bit of technicalities there. So we used to eat fruits. We used to know and identify what we eat. Right? We used to have flavors. Flavors and fruits that were sweet because of more than 200 phytochemical entities. And nowadays, some of my kids relate apple, but may not recognize an apple. It's a gummy bear, right? Or to be good, they have to be the super nutri-grain smart wherever, because that is gonna keep us going. All right. Needless to say, again, yield and monotonies and myopic views of our foodscapes trump biochemical diversity, nourishment, and satiation, as you can see there. But let's change the pictures, right? Ain't that the same thing? We want rocket fuel for our cows. Isn't that the same thing? We move that fast that we can't even recognize it. So monotonous diets are not only boring, but dangerous. Right? We've got several examples with human beings here in the West Coast, kids getting blind. And we also have a lot of saying about let's start eating again as our ancestors. But you may wonder, Pablo, when are you going to be talking about animals and grazing and all of that that you tend to like? Well, a while ago, a friend of mine and myself ran an experiment to see the diversity and sensorial attributes in food hedonics and how monotony leads to nutrient satiation. And what we did, we formulate the perfect diet for lambs, right? The creamy perfect diet for them, and we feed them, right? But in the other treatment, we feed the same diet and we change the flavor every day. So we created a better or sensorial experience, that novelty, that willingness to say, oh, what is coming tomorrow? Oh, that's a new flavor, and I keep eating it, right? So that monotony of diets can even be felt or sensorially in our oral cavity, right? Getting technical. When we change that situation for those animals, provide them the same diet, but simply different flavors day by day, they ate more, they produce more, but one of the things, they were much less stressed. They were having a better time, right? As compared to those guys that they were having the same thing over and over. If I ask you, well, Jim, what is the food that you like the most? Beef steak, that's me. Well, let's say, well, tonight, beef steak. Tomorrow morning, breakfast, beef steak. Lunch, beef steak. You literally get tired of it. We don't like to be tired of that, but not me, but and then sick of it. So with the animals, the same. And we have data of that. We have plenty of data about showing that same thing. So we try and see, well, what about if we offer not only different flavors, but if we compare dietary monotony, in this particular case of lucerne, as against two choice. So the animals were given lucerne, another 4 species in buckets, so they can have their own experience of formulating their diet according to their own individuality. And the third treatment is functional variety. So that choice over time. So in the morning, we give them 2. Okay, you can pick between these 2 in the afternoon, or you can pick this between these 2, and later on in the day, okay, you got another 2. It's a constant surprise and pleasure and freedom to choose, rather than a forced monotony diet, even if it is the best. So look at the average daily weight gain. Lucerne, 227 grams, roughly more or less what we can expect. Functional diversity, the choice at the same time, 296 grams, and functional variety, constantly providing the motivation to eat something new and different, 380 grams. This sort of work and another 5 experiments were run by nowadays Dr. Conagal. Right? She finished her PhD in our lab with 25 publications. All right. So Connor went ahead and said, well, what if we fed, as opposed to a monotony of ryegrass, grazing situation, that salad bar to pregnant ewes? Right? So what she found out that biochemical diversity and giving the ewes the chance to pick their own diet reduce stress at the lambing time, the most stressful time for a female mammal, quite significantly. Moreover, Kona sampled the wool of those lambs while they were just were born, and she found out that cumulative cortisol was much less in there. It means that even from the get-go of life, right, those animals inside man were happier or less stressed as those animals eating lucerne or eating as a monoculture or ryegrass as a monoculture. But He's American, right? Quite American. There we are. These are the picture of some of those experiments there. He went ahead and compared it again, and he even planted a strip of dock and provide those animals that particular choice. So literally discrete strips of monoculture forages that they can all have access. And they did. And look at the performance. Monotony of ryegrass, 90 grams, 100 grams per day, functional diversity, that sort of thing, 128 grams a day. Right? Not needless to say that they have a lower oxidative and physiological stress. But look at that performance, right? You can finish animals way faster, 20-25% faster. That means 20-25% less methane emitted, 20-25% less nitrogen excreted onto the pastures, right? Plus, they were feeling better. Matt and Kona went ahead and said, Pablo, why don't we get into some emotional designs? Because we can alter preference of animals and reduce neophobia, and we can manipulate that inside womb. So we got into that psychological phase of designing animal from a more psychological and emotional point of view. I imagine you know who is this guy, right? So we got into that as well. And we can prove that we can design for animals inside womb for better emotions when they're in our future productive landscapes. So moving on, that's one of my mentors, Fred Provenza. So we said, well, can we not only set the table for them and design the menu and influence them, but can we do that for ourselves while we are thinking of them? So far, I told you that diversity, functional diversity, and functional variety is much better as compared to monotony of legumes, monotony of grasses, right? Or whatever monotony. It's not nothing against those two forest species. It's just the concept of monotony. So can we influence our health if we make them happier? So I'd like to present some of our recent work. You got there those 5 strips. You know, when we compare the status quo, either ryegrass or the queen of the forest lucerne versus multi-species, right, versus functional diverse diets. It's salad bar rather than mixed salad, where animals there can actually express their own individuality rather than being allocated to the same forage over and over. You can imagine that if they like one particular one was the best one, there would be all of them at the same time eating that same forage. The video tells us the story there. So Dr. Anita Fleming, a postdoctoral fellow of my team, and Dr. Sagara Kumara, another postdoctoral of my team, started to evaluate how we can connect soil, plant, animal, and humans, right? Through that concept of functional diversity, not biodiversity per se, but functional diversity, thinking not only of the animal, but the soil, and also us. So Anita not only dealt with Bambi, and I think this is Rosie from Dairy and Said, so deer, dairy cows, and beefies, and Sagara dealt with Shaun the sheep, right? So sheep trial, right? So we were wondering, hopefully by now I could convince you that functional diversity is better than a monotonous diet. But what about the product? What about us? Which milk will you pick? As compared to the status quo or the multi-species, 30 species, the functional diverse diet had more dioxycarnitine in the milk. Deficiencies of dioxycarnitine leads to deficient intake in infants, leads to renal failures, leads to organic acidemia, leads to decreased muscle tone, weakness and fatigue, leads to irritability, diabetes, and myocardial ischemia. That milk, as opposed to that boring milk, right, has 26% more phytochemistry, if I pronounce it correctly, which is vitamin B that help use fats and protein. It has twofold less of triethylmethylamine nitrous oxide, which has been associated to increase in cardiovascular diseases, increase in inflammation, increase in fatty liver disease, and risk of type 2 diabetes. That milk, as compared to the other one, increase tyrosine, which is related to dopamine availability, and enhance cognitive performance. It's an antidepressant, it's an anti-anxiety. It helps release growth hormone. So, which milk would you like to drink? Which one would you drink? Yeah. Okay.
Diverse one.
So choose the best milk for your health, right? Food is fuel, food is medicine. Well, let's eat Bambi now. Okay. All right. Okay. So what we did is just we grazed those deer, the same treatments, you know, monotony, 30 species, functional diversity. Look at them, the arm of Anita feeding legumes to that deer all the way to patties. What we find out, as compared to dietary monotony, those deer that were eating functional diversity have way more proline betaine, right? Which is positively associated with the fetal brain development and cognitive function, which is associated with anti-inflammation and antioxidants, which is it's an anti-cancerogenic, it's an anti-diabetic, it's a protector of cardiac and renal and neural functions. It also have way more of this pipecolic acid, which provide help immune functions that reduce stress, right? It also reduces stress, but enhancing the release of GABA secretion, right? It's also relaxing, and because it works on the synaptic as a synaptic inhibitor. So those animals, definitely Bambi there was much less stress reflected in the venison. And also triacylglycerides in those animals were down-regulated. We know that triacylglycerides are not good for our health, especially for our cardiovascular health. And in addition to that, they smell better, right? They have less of that putrescine, that is a biogenic amine, right? Which is a biomarker of freshness in meat. So if we treat Bambi well, right, Bambi will take care of us. Or he won't be painful, right? So let's go to that beautiful bull. So beef is what for dinner. So you want, well, Pablo, all of those results are tissue results, right? The milk metabolomics and lipidomic composition, the venison metabolomics and lipidomic composition. And we ran the same thing with beef. But in this particular case, we fed half a kilo of patties to people here in the Lincoln gym, right? So we bleed them before, 2 hours after, and 5 hours after they ate that half a kilo of beef in the morning. Right? What we find out, this is human data, that we increase gamma tocopherol, which is vitamin E, but the gamma form of that is much better than the alpha tocopherol, right? The gamma tocopherol has been one of the most potent, sorry about that, antioxidants, one of the most potent anti-inflammatory, right? It is inversely associated with colon cancer. And this is human data, right? So we got also in humans more phenylglycolic acid, which is inhibit production of cholesterol and absorptions of it. It also helped to decrease the gallstones in people. We also have in people, of animals coming from that functional diversity as a monotony, more hydroxymethyl glutarate, which is pretty much the natural form of statins. So if you have heart problems and you go to the doctor and give you statins and say, well, go to Pablo's doctor, they'll give you beef. Okay, which is healthier. So I imagine, I can't remember who I was talking with. This is a quite added value for the meat industry, right? And for our industry as well. And if we find out in people less indole sulfate, right? Which is a uremic toxin accumulating in the plasma of people with chronic disease, kidney disease, right? And it gives side effects in kidneys, bone, and cardiovascular system. So at the end of the day, which steak are you going to give to your mother-in-law? I know, of course, the good one, my dear. Okay, so and this is the first study of its kind worldwide. Okay? So there was a lot of talk about animal products and human health, and all of those are epidemiological studies and associations. This is the first cause and effect. You eat this, that happened to you. You eat that, that happened to you. So pretty much, our health is a reflection of how we graze our animals or treat our animals. So John the sheep is telling us, eat your veggies, right? But we are waiting for the metabolomic analysis of the human trials we run with lamb. So they were through the same treatments. And so now we are just waiting for the results. We expect to have the same results as with milk, with venison, with beef as well, right? So, but something there. And thank you very much, Gwen, and thank you very much, Lincoln Agri-Tech, right, for helping us. Some of the preliminary results indicate that that sort of treatment is even better for the soil. Those are visual soil assessment scores, right? So we are expecting to have other data that show us that when we think about the animal, and at the same time we think of the soil, right, and the humans, we can tick all those three boxes at the same time. So when we think about the pasture advantage, the pasture raised 100% grass-fed beef, that's a massive commodity. Is that what we want? Because from that point of view, pasture is not pasture from those results, right? As wine is not wine, and cheese is not cheese. That's what you pick. Oh, I like the Cabernet Sauvignon, I like the Syrah, I like the other ones. I like blue cheese, I like the Camembert. Oh, I just got pasture. Right? Pasture is not pasture, as cheese is not cheese, and wine is not wine. So we have a massive opportunity here when we focus not only in our health, but the health of the soil, the health of the environment, to create more ethical and sustainable agricultural systems within or with our productive landscapes, right? So that is only one change that led going from W to H. Maybe if we change that, money will come by itself. So this sort of vision of healthy foodscapes, healthscapes, are definitely eclipsing the conventional way, a myopic way of looking at agricultural systems, whether we like it or not. Right? So agriculture of livestock must co-evolve with it for more towards ethical and sustainable and healthy systems, right? When I talk about health, I use the definition of WHO, which is not only the absence of, but the presence of things, getting into the mental and sociological well-being as well, right? The pictures told everything there. But what it is an ethical and sustainable agriculture for me, right? seems like we fear to talk about that. And that is not a bad word, right? We need to co-evolve with what the people are asking for that, what the land is asking for. Right? For me, at least, it's espousing the values that claim to make positive contribution to human and environmental health, local economy and primary producers, animal welfare and biodiversity. It's a way of conceptualizing and engaging with the processes, politics, spaces and places on the praxis of ethical relationalities embedded and produced in and through the provisioning of food coming from healthscapes. And that's me thinking about all of that. Right? So let us think in some more ethical and sustainable foodscapes, right? Let's go from the good old mouth ground, from high country pastures. I don't know why people keep calling that high country, which is a rangeland. But let's call it high country pasture to chemoscapes, to healthscapes with Lincoln University Mount Grant Station. Fabienne Pereira, which is there, quite humble. It's a star. She was a PhD start in my team. Now she's a postdoctoral fellow determining the carrying capacity of the rangelands in Saudi Arabia. Right? So through 4D HD grazing management using pharmacognosy and pharmacology to enhance grasslands health. She ran her whole PhD in Mount Grant. I'm just going to show you just some of the things that she did from a biochemical point of view. On the left, you got, and sorry, Fabi, on the left, you got all the species that Fabi identified in Mount Grant that have medicinal properties. Right? And on the right, just an example of polyphenols and long-chain fatty acids, right? What I mean for the HD is four-dimensional, high-definition grazing management. So that's a chemoscape, but we can lead the animals through the landscape to make them graze in a particular place at a particular time, where, for example, can have plants that help reduce inflammation. We can finish them in particular place with plants that have a greater content of polyunsaturated fatty acids. Just let's depart from the old view of high country grazing management. We can do things better. So now let's think about actually the dryland pastures, right? Why are we thinking that's dry? It has 600 millimeters rain, right? We, in our Center of Excellence, we create a design. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, James, as well. And we thought about actually being dry as a water retention landscape, right? So we spent almost 3 years designing that. And that's the product. That's how we would like actually the dry to look at it. Right? So a dairy farm that does not produce milk, but produce health. Eugenie told me once, one land, many stories, right? One land, many ways of looking at it. One land, many lenses. And we only will see health if we overlap all those lenses, the lenses of soil health, the lenses of plant community health, the lenses of animal health, and the lens of community health. Only when we overlap them, we'll see that health as WHO defined. So we are working as well here with Professor Ian Gordon, one of my idols and good friend of mine, and that's the part of Ashley Dean Dairy Research and Development Station, the dairy farm irrigated part that we are dealing with, right? Oh, that's a pity. The video doesn't play. Sorry, Richard. This is a product of Richard Morris, PH product of mine, not yet D, because he's just waiting for the evaluator. So what we are looking at transforming Ashley Dean Dry. This is a development farm, right? So we are developing our ideas and put it in practice. We just started a year ago, right? where we have functional diversity. You probably know already about, salad bar instead of mixed salad. When we have tunas coming from the mountains all the way to Lake Ellesmere, with the natives and non-native plants providing shade, shelter, medicines, and prophylactics. And I'm interacting with the solar school, which has been a fascinating experience for me, and I keep learning, and I can't stop learning from the students, not from the academics there. But those tunas lay on a bed of wood chip, for example. I'm just giving you one of the details, right? So the cows tend to go there, they take a leak overnight. And what would you do when you wake up? Wake up, get up, urinate, right? Those two urinations can take care of about 25% of the total urine volume with the greatest load of nitrogen there. So by those moodles, we call it, we can just spread the urine, and then the woody vegetation plants will capture that urine, right? So that's a massive reduction, for example, in nitrogen leaching. Plus all the benefit of functional diversity. Yeah, I'm about to go there, yeah. So we got different functional swords adjacent, designed biochemically. We got trees that have a multifunctional benefit from a medicinal, from a prophylactic point of view, right? For example, look at that. We are putting, chicory and crimson clover together to increase the flavonoid content of that milk. If we increase the flavonoid consumption by 200 milligrams per day, we can reduce cardiovascular disease or the risk of strokes by 20%. And that's only by drinking 600 milliliters of flavonoid-rich milk per day. We got that already. Plus, we put the result of Cameron Marshall, another student in my lab, that proved that cows can, we can select cows for low urea nitrogen, reduce a little bit the nitrogen excretion, but those cows produce a milk with a metabolomic profile that is associated to the reduction of anxiety, that is associated to the reduction of cardiovascular disease. And when those cows eat plantain, the metabolomic profile of the milk changed to even a better thing, with a metabolomic profile associated to the reduction of cancer. Those cows are there, grazing in Ashley Dean Dairy Farm. Stuart, last but not least, is putting all of that into a digital layer, collaborating with Ag Research, Alvaro Romero, for example, right? Plus, this is the first farm in the world that report carbon fluxes real time, emission and fixation. But that's some of the things that we are doing at the Integral Health Dairy Farm. So that's Richard, who is back there, a PhD of mine, right? And this is a new associate professor, a adjunct professor at the Lincoln University. You know him, Irene, Dr. Tekahutu Maxwell from Te Whakatohea Iwi, right? So this is Opotiki, where Te Whakatohea Iwi is located now, right? In 100 years, it's going to be, most of that is going to be flooded. So massive ecological disaster. This is NIWA data, right? What we are trying to do with Te Whakatohea in collaborating is how we can adapt our concept of integral health dairy farm to a Te Whakatohea integral health dairy farm in 100 years. Okay? So Richard and Shannon has been designed in that farm what we call Mara, or something, sorry about that, I can't remember that, but how we incorporate wetlands within the farm, in addition to all the things that we've done here in the Integral Health Farm. And those wetlands not only can produce or retain water, but produce some sort of feed for the people. But it's just one of the things that we are doing there. And last but not least, we've been working with Utah State, Montana State, Idaho State, Colorado State, in how we can create smart foodscape for these rangelands in the western part of the US. We are leading with these people, that transdisciplinary team, to improve the resiliency and the health of those rangelands through functionally biodiversifying the diet of those animals. So to start wrapping up, Te Toto o Te Tengata Hekai, Te Oranga o Tengata He Whenua, Ko o Te Whenua, Ko Te Whenua, Ko o. While food provides the blood in our veins, our health is drawn from the health of our land. I'm the land is me. Animal products reflect the history of our foodscapes, our landscapes, and agricultural systems. All of that manifested through soil, plant, animal chemistry, and thereby the health of our land and that of ourselves. Ultimately, we are what we eat. So thank you very much for this time, and a lot of those sort of things are published in those articles. Thank you.
We have, I think Pablo's left us about 2, maybe 3 minutes before the food is served. So we have time for a few questions from the floor.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand the difference between the functional diversity experiment and the multi-species.
Yeah, that's
Can you
that's
explain?
good. Yeah, multi-species is a 30 plus something species, which is a quite general. It's fashion now. Right.
All planted in
All planted at the same time, and I think the group of Derek group is trying something about that. So that project, and you know the people of regenerative also have thought of that multi-species thing. So that's a salad bar. Sorry, that's a mixed salad, right? Literally, it's a mixed salad, which constrained the selectivity of the animals. So instead of that, we say, well, I'll give you salad bar.
I've seen your salad bar.
Yeah. So, and then you enable or facilitate that selectivity over time and space. So you facilitate the expression of individuality.
Why can the animal in the 30 species paddock not go to the plant that she wants?
Yeah, they try, but they get really frustrated, and we get data about that. But imagine that you're great, you know, you got the perfect mix, right? All together, you know, that trying to make them more friends. But the bite area of a cow is about 200 square centimeters. So she can't discern most of the time, or she can't pick the species she wants. A sheep is a little bit smaller, right? So what we are trying to do is, okay, well, same species, so the key ones from a biochemistry point of view, but we just set them apart. And we got all those results. Roughly, we increased productivity by 20%. We reduce environmental impact by 20%. Those animals feel better. And you're going to feel better too. And we are scaling that up in all those farms, yeah.
So in regards to the killing of animals for food in that experiment, does the industrial processing of that meat negate the gains from the diversity feed or the non-monotonous feed?
I think the industry is not yet there to differentiate that. And that's all right. We are just presenting and leading the way to add value to that. So I don't think we should keep focusing in volume or just for the sake of producing more. You know, that's saying value versus volume. I think the industry will catch up. So Silver Fern Farm sponsored that, and John Barnes in conjunction with the Center of Excellence that I had. Right? The deer industry sponsored that. Ely sponsored the milk one, and our Land and Water sponsored the National Science Challenge sponsored the sheep one. So I think we are heading, you know, little by little we are heading that direction, and that's a future advantage that we can present to those 40 million rich people we want to feed. All right. Yeah.
From a farm systems point of view, have you done any financial analysis on any of the information?
Yes, definitely. And that's, thank you for that question as well. We are scaling up on the integral field farm. I'm just going to tell you the story. If we produce less milk, my project needs to pay for that. Okay, so what we found as we start applying all of that, for that, that's around, if you can give me 1 more minute. Yeah, we are even more profitable than the rest of the farm. We reduce stocking rate from 3.4 to 2.8. We reduce nitrogen application from 190 to 90 nowadays. We just dry off the cows. And you know what? We produce 20% more milk, healthier milk. So yes, we've done that. Do we need to keep doing those sort of things? Definitely. Those some of the implementation, this is a development project, you know, cost money? Yes. Is it easy? Maybe not. Yeah. Any question? Yes, Dick.
You referred to Ashley Dean development and diversity there. Do you intend to irrigate it or is it dry land?
I refer to the 2 sides of Ashley Dean. One is the integral health dairy farm, which is irrigated, and it's just 40 hectares of that farm. And the vision that we present, the design that we present for the dry land is what we would like to do eventually, would have liked to do that. I think we need to move on from considering that a dry land. If we have the opportunity to create a water retention landscape, could still be dry, but why don't we just change and say, well, dry land. Well, let's retain water there while we are producing, while we are being healthier and all of that. But that's just an outcome of a project that we got there.
Last question.
Yeah, I've got probably quite a lot of questions, but I'll try and keep to one. A fascinating presentation, Pablo. You've been told that. I think you're doing good work with my brother, Philip Lake here.
Yeah. I just and thank you for your brother and his wife for receiving us. Yeah.
I don't thank me for my brother, but that's to me, this looks like quite a system change. How much of a system and cultural and management change and practices to bring in a healthscape landscape rather than the systems we've got at the moment?
Yeah, definitely, it's a system change. It's a change of overthinking as well. There is no change without pain, right? And that's why it's sarcastic and pushing some of the things that I say. We have an opportunity here. Like nobody can fix a computer with a hammer anymore. So we need to embrace complexity and to move from simplicity that gave us wealth for 60 years. Right? We need to start moving to and embracing complexity, because these sort of systems are the ones that are going to give us the chance not only to make money, to keep farming, and for our kids and our students to keep thinking of farming. Yeah, there is a massive change in our mindset of going from those systems, which is all right. You know, that's fine. But things moving on. And what a better opportunity here. New Zealand it's a fantastic place because the farmers are early adopters. You know, it's just they are easy to talk and to work with because they see the things. In other parts of the world, it's hard to propose this. Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely a system change. It's a question of maturity as well. Maturity is the capacity to deal with 2 dilemmas, right? Contradicting at the same time. We are all maturing. We are maturing in our thinking. And farmers are way ahead of time in the maturity. If they see something that works, they will adopt it. And based on the data that we have, yeah, we can tell it works with the animal performance, environmental impact, even humans. So it's just a question of time. Like you, like your brother, like other ones to say, well, let's give it a go. And we are doing things with multiple companies already that are adopting this new way of looking at the systems. Thank you for your question. We can keep talking. You know, it's really hard for me to talk.
Speaking of which, I'm sure that Pablo will be more than happy to have a discussion over a glass of wine and possibly some food. Join me in thanking Pablo for an excellent. Despite the fact that it doesn't say pasture, but to add paddock wine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You have food and drink outside, and again, Pablo would be more than happy to continue. Pablo.
Like, right.